I'm Stephen John Drew from the official GonnaGeek.com show, a weekly geek news podcast that is a part of the Gonna Geek Network, just like the show you're checking out now. Shows on the network are individually owned, and opinions expressed may not reflect others. Find other awesome geeky shows at GonnaGeekNetwork.com.
Stand by for a brand new episode of All Things Good and Nerdy.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to episode 391 of the All Things Good and Nerdy podcast. This is recorded live on Sunday, February 16th, 2020. We are in the leap month. We're in a leap year. I don't know. I messed it up. But we're going to have 29 days this month, and for some reason that fascinates me a ton. And it's a Saturday. So it's a Saturday I would not normally had in February or whatnot. I don't think it actually matters. It just fascinates me.
Get an extra Saturday. We get a 3-day weekend. It's not a bad February.
I don't know about you. By the way, guys, watching live, I'm Chris Farrell, joining me, Anthony Bachman, and we will have Willie Nelson at some point in time. But I have that Monday holiday. My wife doesn't have it, so I just flipped it to this upcoming Friday, and I'm just going to take Friday off and go to the movie theater all day, I think is my plan right now, because that's solid.
Oh, you actually you can move your holiday like that?
I'm
with
allowed
your job?
to float some holidays around in a given week. Now,
okay.
Not all
That's
holidays,
not bad.
but since most of the folks I work with have to work on Monday also, I was like, I'll go in, but it's technically a national holiday, so I don't have to dress normally for work. I can wear jeans and a t-shirt. I'm like, free jeans and t-shirt day, minimal people there, outside of the people I directly work with. This is the way to do it.
Heck
It's
yeah.
nice, quiet, calm. I'll be able to get a lot of stuff done, just toss my headphones on and get in the zone.
Nothing wrong with that.
It's going to be exciting. That's what I think there. I don't know. I really got nothing.
Yeah, I'm probably just going to sit on my butt and play Dead by Daylight.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to go and see Sonic the Hedgehog on Friday on my way home from work, but I got distracted, ran a couple errands, and went, oh, the movie I was supposed to see started 30 minutes ago, and went, I don't care enough to wait until 3 o'clock to go and see it. I wanted to see the noon showing, or I guess it was the 2:30 showing I could have gone to, but I don't care that much. That being said, I am going to go see Sonic the Hedgehog. I've mentioned on this show before because they should be rewarded for listening to the fans when we all went, this Sonic design is shit.
Who's being rewarded? Because apparently the company that fixed all the VXFs that overworked their workers has fired all of their workers.
The company shut down was more of what happened.
So, yeah, so if that company's gone, who's being rewarded by going to see this movie?
Well, I mean, the studio did make a smart move also of saying maybe we should fix this. I don't know that their closing down was a consequence of Sonic the Hedgehog or not. I don't even know if it's the same company that did the special effects redo on it.
I didn't see Sonic, but I did see a movie this weekend.
Ooh, and we'll get to that at the end.
And it's got a beaver in it.
I feel like I should know that reference, and I didn't.
Nope, you shouldn't. Not unless you saw the movie.
Then I got no clue then. I got no clue. Like I was saying, Willie Nelson will hopefully be joining us at some point in time if you caught the pre-show. I did actually text his phone in addition to IMing him on Google Hangouts. We're assuming that Willie just had far too much fun last night and has slept through his alarm. I mean, because that's the ideal thing to think. We don't want to be like, well, Willie's in a ditch somewhere. God knows what happened to him. Although I imagine it would lead to a good story, knowing Willie.
Oh, you know it would.
Yeah, he does have quite the tales. Tales from the Willie Nelson. I don't know. I thought I had something there. I got nothing. Nothing, I say. You guys know what happens when I have nothing. It generally means I just push a damn
Button.
Live from the ATGN studios on the internet. It's the news of the week.
Welcome to the News of the Week part of the show. That's where we run down what's in our minds some of the most interesting, geeky, and/or nerdy news to have occurred in the past couple weeks. I really flubbed that intro this week, and I'm just going to go with it because we're doing it live. Who gives a crap? Sometimes things get flubbed, and you guys are here to enjoy me floundering as I try and recover from it, which did not do a great job of recovering from. Did not. I will fully admit I chose my news story basically to poke one Willie Nelson a little bit. He's not here yet, so we'll let Anthony kick off with his news first because hopefully Willie's here in time that I can poke him with my news story a little bit.
Poke him. My news is that it is follow-up news on something I reported, I think, at least 6 months ago, maybe as much as a year ago, that, like me, apparently one of the greatest comedians of all time, Mr. Chris Rock, everybody's favorite crackhead, was a huge fan of the Saw franchise and had been in talks to work on building a new Saw movie. And, you know, being a huge fan of the franchise, owning all the films and realizing that they already had 8 of them, I wasn't really sure we needed another Saw movie, even from a fan.
I didn't even realize there were 8 until we were talking about this in the pre-show, and I was like, "There's 8 films? Holy crap!"
I thought there was 7. I was wrong. I miscounted because I always forget about 3D. So there's Saw 1 through 6, and then Saw 3D was the 7th film, and then Jigsaw was like the penultimate like finale that was all about John Kramer. Yeah, so there's already been 8 films since October 29th of 2004. So like this is a franchise that pumped out 8 films in 13 years. Like that's insane. That's faster than the Fast and the Furious. But also, you know, all the special effects are like small, more intricate things. So it's you know, it's definitely doable. Horror can make you some good money if you know what you're doing. But yeah, so the Saw franchise has gone a little crazy. It started what a lot of people refer to as the torture porn industry, which I'll be honest, like the Hostel movies and stuff, I watched them. I'm not a huge fan. I thought the Saw movies were far superior because it was based on like a logical premise, I guess, where Hostel was really just like torturing people because you're rich and you can get away with it. Okay. But, you know, whether you like them or not, like it's definitely it's its own brand of film. Like there's a whole bunch of them now. Like it's spawned all sorts of remakes and knockoffs and all sorts of stuff. But it was one of those things where it's like, do we really need a new one? And I was like, well, you know, if Chris Rock's really a fan, maybe he'll do something interesting with it. Like the guy's like a really smart business dude. Like he's done some documentaries, he's done some comedy stuff. Like Chris Rock hasn't really made that many missteps as, you know, an actor or someone in Hollywood. Like when he puts effort behind something, there's usually some good thought behind it. And I believe it was last week or the week before, but we finally got us the trailer for Spiral coming out in 2020, May 15th. And the full title, which, you know, being a Doug Love Movies fan, I love it. Spiral, semicolon, from the Book of Saw. So it's not a sequel so much. It's another killer in the universe, apparently inspired by John Kramer's message. And what you find out in this trailer is that is a killer in New York City who's putting traps together to kill cops. And from the look of things, we're going to figure that they're either dirty or abusive cops. And so then if the cops are going after the killer, you know, like it's the whole moral ambiguity of the situation. Like if he's only killing bad people, but the people he's killing are cops, well, then, you know, society has a problem, right? So yeah, we got Chris Rock is playing the detective in it. We got Sam Jackson up in the motherfucker. Like how cool is it that we got Chris Rock and Sam Jackson together in a horror film?
Are there snakes on his plane?
I don't believe there's any snakes on the plane yet, but who knows? Maybe he'll get tossed in a cab with some snakes. You know, nice. We don't know what we're getting yet. So far on just on IMDb on the casting notes, Sam Jackson's just listed as the character Marcus. So he hasn't been shown to be either like he's a detective or another cop or some other random character. Chris Rock is playing Detective Zeke Banks. So he's the guy actually going after this killer. The only other name of note that I found in the cast is Zoe Palmer from the Doctor from Lost Girl and the robot from Dark Matter, who is playing a character named Kara Boswick. And then Josh Stolberg, the guy who's worked on a bunch of the Saw films as a director, as a writer. He did the screenplay for Jigsaw and has been involved for a while. He's played a cop in it as well as being credited as one of the screenwriters for this new one. And then Darren Lynn Bozeman is back as a director, which if you're a huge Saw fan, you might recognize that name because he did Saw 2, 3, and 4. So this is a guy directing his 4th film in the Saw universe, I guess, now. Because everybody wants an expanded universe. So here we go. Saw is now actually full-on inspiring other films. And yeah.
I think that's a smarter move than trying to do, I guess, a 9th movie all about the Jigsaw killer. I like this idea of expanding the universe, and you can have those same kind of scares and things like that you would have had in Saw. You can play those same kind of mind games. Now, full disclosure, only watched the first Saw, and I've watched bits and pieces of the second one, but I enjoyed how it screwed with your head. And there is absolutely no reason why another killer who is inspired rather by the Jigsaw killer could not do similar things. And that seems fascinating to me. And that seems like it would also be a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, and the trailer looks good. So like I am fully enthused. I was questionable when I first heard about it because I am a huge fan of the Saw films. I loved kind of the genius behind, like when you go back and actually look at the original premise in the short film that Lee Winnell did with James Wan. And the fucking James Wan. We know James Wan now from, Fast and Furious and Aquaman and shit, but James Wan got started directing the first Saw movie. Like that's how he made his name. And it was literally him and Lee Winnell sitting down going, we got like 10 grand. What's the cheapest thing we can do? 2 people in a room. Okay, why are they in the room? And from that very simple premise, we're now getting a 9th film. Like these guys invented the newest slasher since Chucky. The first serial killer in all the slasher serial killer movies that doesn't actually kill anybody. Sets them all up in traps where they kill themselves. And like this whole genius storyline and an entire concept of films based on really cool special effects. Really, honestly, by like the 4th and 5th and 6th ones, like I wasn't even going to see any of the storyline or the apprentices or the craziness. I was going to see what the set designers and special effects guys would come up with for new ways of putting someone in a torture device where you have an ability to get out if you're willing to bleed. Like, I really love it just to see the stuff that they invent for these films because there's been no like repeats other than I think the reverse bear trap was used twice. Other than that, every Saw film, you get a special effects crew together and they build new traps and they think of new ways to stick somebody in something to where if you worked really hard and were willing to like injure yourself, you could usually get out. And like just the genius concept of that from just 2 guys with a couple of bucks trying to make the cheapest movie they could. And all of this has come out of that. Like, it's awesome.
Yeah, it's cool. I want to see where they go with it. This appeals to me enough. I'm like, I might not go catch up on all the other Saw movies, but this sounds like it could be fun, and I would go see it. And did they put a release date out on the trailer?
Yeah. Well, it's on the IMDb page. It's listed as May 15th.
Okay, so it's just a few months away.
Yeah, so it's not that far out. And yeah, the first trailer's out. It's on IMDb. It's on YouTube. And yeah, it's got a whole lot of Chris Rock in it. It's got very little sprinkled bits of information of anything that you might actually know about the killer. There's no actual like killer reveal or what the killer is going to look like. All you literally find is like they're finding dead bodies at trap sites, and you keep finding like a spray painted spiral on the wall. So like the killer's marketing himself in the original Saw movies. They called John Kramer's killer Saw as a shorten of Jigsaw because if somebody failed the test and wasn't willing to bleed to live, he would cut a piece out of them that looked like a jigsaw piece. So they kept finding bodies that were missing jigsaw pieces cut out of them because he basically was claiming that they didn't have that thing in them, that drive to live. And so the killer having his own call sign makes sense in the Saw universe because this isn't John Kramer. It's apparently not another apprentice. It's just literally someone that looked at his way of thinking and said, I can get behind that. Which is creepy as fuck.
that could make for a fun movie. I'm on board. I'll go see it.
Yeah, I'm excited. I mean, more Saw.
We're almost exactly 3 months away as we record this. If it's on the 15th, today's the 16th. So
yeah.
Almost exactly 3 months away. And I've still got my movie pass for another 10 months. So what the hell? I'll go see all sorts of stuff.
Might as well put it to use.
Right. Now, I did have a news story that I was waiting for Willie to be here for, so I'm going to push it to the end of the show just in case Willie shows up. And I have sprinkled in some other news stories. We'll go news heavy this week that could be interesting. And we had talked about on here before, Kevin Smith was getting his Masters of the Universe cartoon series / anime on Netflix that was supposed to be along the lines of a sequel to what we'd seen before. It is now called Masters of the Universe Revelation. It's going to be produced by Mattel Television, focusing on the unresolved storylines of the characters, picking up where they left off from decades ago. But why I bring this up is the voice cast got announced.
Oh, yeah, it did.
This is a pretty loaded voice cast. We're going to start at the top of the list and work our way down. And arguably what has me the most fascinated, the Jedi Master himself, the one also known as Cockknocker,
the Clown Prince of
Crown
Crime.
Prince of Crime. I was working my way up to it, the Hobgoblin, things like that. I do prefer. I like anytime I can reference Cockknocker from Jay and Silent Bob,
Yeah.
though it makes me laugh. Mark
The
Hamill
one and only
himself
Cock.
as Skeletor. And I can't wait to hear what he does with Skeletor, because Mark Hamill's a phenomenal voice actor. We've gushed over him repeatedly on this show, on any other shows we've done. But the man, he's a good actor. He's a phenomenal voice actor. That's not taking away from his skills as just a regular screen actor, but his voice acting, it's phenomenal. And to have him as Skeletor, I can't wait. And I know he's going to put his own unique twist on it, because Skeletor does kind of have a unique tone in the cartoons from ages ago, but this is going to be fun.
Oh yeah, and then we also get a new maniacal laugh out of Mark Hamill. It's worth it for that alone,
Right?
Like, it's not like I wasn't already totally sold on this series. Being a huge Fat Man on Batman fan, I love Mark Bernardin. I love Kevin Smith. They're two of my favorite writers. I've read a bunch of the comics that they've written. I've love Kevin's movies. I'm a huge fan of Mark Bernardin. Like, he's one of my favorite creators. A lot of the times, one of the best things about movies is when Kevin and Mark go see them and then they do their podcast, and Kevin will ask Mark, well, how would you make it better? And he'll drop just like one or two little things that it's like, God damn it, if he'd have been on set that day, that movie would have been so much better. And he's really good at doing that. So the fact that he's one of the writers on the Kevin Smith produced He-Man Masters of the Universe, I'm excited to see what that writer's room came up with for an extension of that old school, like the greatest Macho Man show of all time.
Yes.
There is no more testosterone than a character called He-Man.
That is true. And I wonder how many toys they'll end up selling. But there's still a ton more of this cast. Let's work our way down the list. Lena Headey, from 300, Game of Thrones, Terminator, Sarah Connor Chronicles, as Evil Lynn.
Oh, and a small role as a Cersei Lannister over 7 seasons of Game of Thrones. Yeah.
I didn't watch Game of Thrones, though, so that doesn't resonate with me.
She was huge in that. She was great in it, too.
Yeah, she'll be Evil Lynn, which I think could also be really fun, which means she's going to get to play off of Mark Hamill's Skeletor a lot. I'm totally on board.
Which is probably going to be, like, some of the best, funnest work she gets to do. Like, being able to, like, sit in a booth and do voice work, but play off of Mark Hamill. Like, that's got to be like a great way to sign a contract. Oh, hell yes, I would love to do this.
My hope is they're getting some of these folks to work in the booth together versus some things you've seen in animation where it's like, you just come in and record your lines. You can hear what this person recorded, so you know how to play off of it. I would think it's a lot more fun and probably rewarding if you're getting to be in the booth and be like, oh, it's my turn now. I need to do this, instead of just be like, oh my God, how did he pull that off, kind of thing. Also announced Chris Wood, who you might know from Supergirl as Mon-El. I guess he was also in the Vampire Diaries. Also, he's Melissa Benoist's husband, so there's a chance that she might show up on here at some point in time. He'll be Prince Adam or He-Man. That could be good. It could be good.
Yeah, and he's got like that like quality hero voice. Like his Mon-El in Supergirl was really good.
He's just got to be able to flip back and forth between the hero and the non-hero voice and things like that. Well, they didn't really do that in the cartoon, but you're going to have to do in the new one.
The original old school cartoon, he didn't, like, all he did was put a shirt on. Like, he didn't even get small. Yeah. Like, that was one of the things I liked about, what was it, the third update? Where you finally got a Prince Adam that, like, shrunk down to a normal kid. And then when he called on the power, he became giant He-Man. Yeah, in the old school cartoon, like, he didn't even get any smaller. he just put on a white shirt and a pink vest. It's like, oh no, I'm Prince Adam. I swear I'm not.
Prince Adam. I swear.
I'm not the 400-pound muscular guy with the giant sword. What are you talking about?
Right. Also announced Sarah Michelle Gellar, the Slayer, Buffy the Vampire Slayer,
as
Tila, so Man-at-Arm's daughter. That could be fun. Man, I hope they get Freddie Prinze Jr. in here, her husband in real life, because we know he can do voice acting. And that would be phenomenal if they tried to keep some things in the family.
Well, and he just did Rebels, so like it's not like he's out of style. Like he was just working a little bit ago.
He just had a voice role in Star Wars, also the movie. He was in that too.
Was he in Star Wars?
Kanan's voice was in the end of Rise of Skywalker as one of the Jedi.
Oh, that's
spirits.
right. Yeah, he was one of the Jedi spirits. I forgot about that.
Let's see. Powering through, Liam Cunningham from Game of Thrones and Clash of the Titans as Man-at-Arms.
Nice.
I don't remember him offhand. because I didn't watch Game of Thrones, and I think I saw Clash of the Titans once-ish. I don't know. Stephen Root from Office Space as Cringer. I'm okay with that. Diedrich Bader from Office Space, Napoleon Dynamite, Drew Carey's show. He was also Batman in Batman Brave and the Bold as King Randor and Trapjaw.
Nice. Liam Cunningham, if you had watched Game of Thrones, was the Onion Knight. He's a guy who served. He played Davos Seaworth. Had his fingers chopped off and carried him around in a necklace on his chest. He was a great character, great actor. He's been in a bunch of stuff, so people will know him when they hear his voice.
We have Griffin Newman from The Tick and Vinyl as Orko, which I didn't watch either show. Should have watched The Tick. That's on me. Tiffany Smith from Behind Enemy Lines and Supernatural as Andra. I feel like I should know her, but I don't off the top of my head. Henry Rollins from Johnny Mnemonic and The Lost Highway as Triclops.
And a little thing called Black Flag.
Right.
Oh, and from being Henry Rollins for the past 50 years, because he's fucking awesome.
This next one intrigues me a ton. Alan Oppenheimer, who you might know as, I don't know, Skeletor from the original Masters of the Universe. He'll be Moss Man in the reboot, in the sequel and continuation. Susan Eisenberg, who many people associate with the voice of Wonder Woman whenever they read comics, because she was Wonder Woman in the Justice League cartoons, will be the Sorceress. Alicia Silverstone from Clueless and Batman and Robin as Queen Marlena. Now we're going to get into some of Kevin Smith's buddies here for these next two. Justin Long, Galaxy Quest, Live Free, and Die Hard as Roboto, and Tusk, and a bunch of other Kevin Smith movies. They've worked
Jay and Silent Bob reboot.
Yep. Speaking of Jay himself, Jason Mewes from The View of Universe, things like that. He's Stinkor, which I think is hilarious.
It's fucking awesome. The fact that Kevin's getting Jason Mewes into Motu, and he gets to be Stinkor.
Yeah.
Jason Mewes is going to have an action figure of a character that he plays in a cartoon. Jason Mewes' little head is going to explode.
Oh, he's going to love the hell out of that.
Awesome. Yeah.
That's what's going to be so much fun about it. Let's see. Phil Lamar from Justice League cartoons, also Mad TV. He'll be Hero. Very appropriate play on words. Tony Todd from Candyman, Star Trek The Next Generation. He'll be Scareglow. He was also the voice of Zoom in Flash.
Yep. Yeah, he was Professor Zoom.
Cree Summer from the DC Superhero Girls, Vampirina, a bunch of other voice acting roles. She'll be Priestess. Kevin Michael Richardson from the Batman and Thundercats will be Beastman. I've only got a few left here. Kevin Conroy, the GD Batman himself, as Merman.
Hell yes.
And then finally, to wrap things up, Kevin Smith's daughter, Harley Quinn Smith, as Elena. I don't remember the character, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm wondering if it's going to be like a new princess or something. Because it's a character name I don't know, but I mean, Kevin's running the show. There's a little bit of a nepotism in Hollywood. You get your friends and your family in, and it's not like she hasn't proven work. Like, she just did the last fucking Quentin Tarantino film, so the girl can do some acting.
No, I would not cast down on him. I'm going to cast my daughter. Right? Kevin Smith, his whole MO in Hollywood and throughout time has been, these are people that are my friends and I like to work with, so I'm going to work with them as much as I can. I have no problem with that. It's not like he's like, I'm picking my daughter over this other A-lister who wanted the role. Yeah. I picked my daughter because I like working with her and she's damn good at what she does.
Also, he puts Diedrich Bader in almost everything because he loved him as Batman.
Yeah.
And he had weird blowjob scenes with him in Jay and Silent Bob reboot.
And
say,
oh,
what a lovely tea party.
Bob.
Yeah.
Say,
oh, what a lovely tea party.
I still haven't seen Jay and Silent Bob reboot. I need to pick it up and watch it.
Yeah, I just really saw it. It's some good stuff. There's some really funny things in it. And honestly, Harley Quinn Smith as Millennium Falcon in scenes where she's Jay's kid are some of the weirdest, craziest, and strangely touching scenes that Jason Mewes has ever done. He actually does some solid acting in this movie. It's kind of surprising. He's grown up a fair bit. The fact that Jason Mewes is now actually a dad, you can see scenes of him playing a dad in the film, and you can you see he's actually pulling from experience of having a daughter now. It's actually kind of touching to see it because it's cool.
Yeah, it sounds neat to me. I'm all on board for this He-Man series when it comes to Netflix. I don't think we've got any kind of release date or anything like that, but I'd say Comic-Con will probably find out more because that seems like the ideal place to start giving us more on He-Man.
Yeah, it's only listed as just a 2020 series premiere for 6 episodes, and nothing's even listed on IMDb other than season 1, episode 1, number 1.1 pilot. So yeah, there's no details other. The voice cast literally is the first thing we've really heard nailing down what's happening, and listening to all of Kevin's podcasts, I'd heard a bunch about the scripts going back and forth and who was turning in what and what work was done and whether or not Mark Bernard had a script done and each of them flipping each other's shit. I knew that stuff was happening and having it set off to get, everything produced and, not acclaimed,
Animated?
Well, yeah, send it to be animated, but also send it to be cleared through Hasbro because Hasbro's got control for the toy rights and stuff. And apparently, it's weird because Kevin Smith and Mark Bernard, because they write so differently, the animation company they're doing it with is apparently an animation company that's really good at doing fight sequences. So they literally told the writers, you don't need to write fight scenes. Tell us who's in the scene, and then in your script, literally write insert fighty stuff, and this company will do the entire fight scene. And make it fit to time for how much time they have in the episode.
That's cool.
And so yeah, it's funny because Mark Bernard said it's one of those things he liked scripting out fights and how they worked and positioning players, and basically as a writer you're directing the fight choreography for a scene. And so he's Kevin Smith loved it because he just typed in fighty stuff and then go to the next part where they start talking again, which Kevin's all about dialogue.
Right.
But yeah, Mark Bernard said it was very weird because he's used to actually writing in that stuff, and now they have a company that's doing it for them. So I'd heard all of that, but had no clue voice actors, who was attached, nothing. And rumors on Twitter, whatever, those are rumors. Some of those rumors are true because yeah, some of these names were rumored about, and wow, this fucking cast is going to be awesome.
Yeah, and this press release just came out this week announcing all of this stuff. So it's relatively new and fresh. We still don't have a Willie. I've been calling him. He hasn't texted me back.
No.
I got a
Still
bad
no Will,
feeling
yeah.
about this. Luckily, I have one more news story before my real news story. So we'll stretch it out a little bit more to see if we can get him on here so that I can poke him a little bit. And we'll talk about a game in a franchise that I am very recently to because I picked it up for less than $10 on Black Friday and have finally started playing it, which is Anthem. Now, BioWare had some announcements this week about the future of Anthem, specifically a blog post written by Casey Hudson, who is the boss who runs the studio of BioWare right now under EA's banner, about what their path is going forward, because to say that it was not a critical success would not be an understatement. Let's put it that way. Anthem's had a lot of criticism, and some of it on this show because Anthony's been playing it since it came out. I'm a recent convert, and I can honestly say, had I paid full price, I would have a lot more criticism than I do for a game I paid less than $10 for.
Yeah, what if you bought it twice?
Yeah, then I would have a lot of criticism. So
yeah,
how we best put it is in the blog post, Casey Hudson had said, sometimes we get it right, sometimes we miss. And in this case, I think it's fair to say a lot of people have considered Anthem a miss. I will say for myself, it's a lot of fun when it works right and is firing on all cylinders. But
yeah,
it's thin. There's not a lot behind the scenes, and it seems like it's a pretty short story that I would have beaten had I not gotten distracted and just started grinding way too soon. Way too much, way too soon. So going to Casey's blog post, he said, over the last year, the team has worked hard to improve stability, performance, and general quality of life while delivering 3 seasons of new content and features. We have heard your feedback that Anthem needs a more satisfying loot experience, better long-term progression, and a more fulfilling endgame. So we recognize there's still more fundamental work to be done to bring out the full potential of the experience, and it will require substantial reinvention than an update or expansion. What does this mean? Well, he says, over the coming months, we'll be focusing on a longer-term redesign of the experience, specifically working to reinvent the core gameplay loop with clear goals, motivating challenges, and progression with meaningful rewards, while preserving the fun of flying and fighting in a vast science fantasy setting. And to do that properly, we'll be doing something we'd like to have done more of the first time around, giving a focused team the time to test and iterate, focusing on gameplay first. So what does this mean? It sounds like they're making Anthem 2.0, basically. I'm kind of okay with that, but it does mean in the interim there's not really going to be any more content updates until this is ready.
Yeah.
Presumably this is not going to be a paid upgrade because that would just be more angering of fans.
Because there's no way we're going to pay for it.
So I have been one of the biggest BioWare fanboys on this show. Remember, the Mass Effect games, I love them. I did have my issues with Mass Effect 3. Many other people did. I kind of was able to set those aside, be okay.
Was that the one with the faces?
Mass Effect 3?
Yeah, was that the one with the faces, or was that Andromeda?
That was Andromeda.
Where the faces were
that was
crazy?
Andromeda.
Okay.
And the BioWare magic always seemed to make things work, and that was generally a product of lots of crunch at the end. And there's been a lot of news stories and things devoted to why Anthem and Mass Effect Andromeda, to a lesser extent, were not as good as they should have been at launch. And what it came down to is they relied too heavily on that BioWare magic, it sounds like. It was constantly moving goals until it was, oh my God, this game's out in a year and we're not even close to being ready. Specifically, Anthem is where that happened. And they basically made Anthem in a year is what it comes down to because of creative differences, not knowing what they wanted to do. They almost yanked the flying out, but they only left it in there because it looked cool.
They actually yanked it out multiple times during the testing. Like, it's sad.
So if they want to make it right, that's great. The game is almost a year old. It'll be a year old next month. As much as I would love to give the benefit of the doubt, you probably should have made this decision 6 months ago when you looked at the numbers and went, wow, there's a ton of people that stopped playing and they've gone and moved on to playing Destiny again or any of these other living online games. Because if there's no player base there when you put this Anthem 2.0 out or whatnot, what are you doing?
Yeah, I'm not sure, no matter how good this update is, how many people it's going to actually draw back to Anthem. Because, yeah, it's taken far too goddamn long for them to fix anything. The game is much more stable now than it was. But, like, literally where the game is now is where it should have been at launch. And so the fact that now they're talking about, hey, wait 6 to 8, 10 months, and we're going to give you what we think the game should have been at launch. So then we're going to be 2 years in before the game's what it was originally promised to be. Like, yeah, I'm never sure as hell gonna pay for it. I will honestly never pre-order another EA sponsored game again. Like, it's not happening. Like, I took a bath on this one buying the limited edition on it. Like, it was ridiculous. Where this is a game where honestly I bought a copy for a friend to play with because other people didn't want to play, and there was a 2-week period where she could not log into the game. Like, you can't blame people for not playing a game if you literally can't even log into it. If your game is that bad and that poorly built for stability, like, it ain't the fans' fault. Like, they can bitch about loot, whatever, but, like, there was a point where you literally could not log into Anthem.
And there were things that were not thought out, it seemed like. And from my experience playing it for the past 2.5, 3 weeks, load screens are ridiculous in this game. They take forever to load. Even on I've got an Xbox One X I'm playing it on.
And you're playing with the new shorter load screens.
And I'm playing with the new shorter load screens. And I'm still talking like you spin up the world map. It's a 2 to 4 minute load time on top of matchmaking that it has to do before that when you're trying to do things. And I can understand where people would be like, man, I'm getting tired of this. The thing is, when this game hits, it's a lot of fun. Once you're in the game and you're playing, you're like, oh, this is a lot of fun. Now, granted, I've had a lot of the quality of life changes that Bachman might not have had at launch, like the fact that you could access the Forge from the world map and swap out your equipment instead of having to go back to Fort Tarsis. My understanding was you couldn't do that originally at launch.
You couldn't access anything.
And
you had to go back to Fort Tarsis to make any change.
And you had to go back to Fort Tarsis between missions and stuff like that, I understood too. So that's even more load times because you pretty much load it and then you would go back and launch another mission and go back to load screens again. At least now you can do a quick launch of a mission from Fort Tarsis. You can finish a mission, say I want to play another one, and drop back into matchmaking immediately.
Yep.
There's quality of life changes that they made that makes it fun, and I've had a lot of fun with it, but man, there's still some stuff they need to get right. We were talking in pre-show. I was like, I didn't realize that this game level caps you at level 30. So, like, I hit level 30 at probably half to maybe somewhere between the halfway and 2/3 mark of the story. And at this point in time, I'm like, well, I can't level up anymore. I play the missions because they're fun and the story's kind of interesting, but it's not like I'm getting great loot progression, and I can't level up anymore because I'm stuck. Why would you, a year in, still be stuck at a level 30 cap? I don't understand. When you look at things like Destiny and other online living shooters where they seem to more routinely, or at least with expansion packs, raise the level caps so that people are enticed to keep playing, keep getting better gear, things like that. This seems like once you hit level 30 and you complete the story, yeah, you can keep playing if you're having fun, but there's really no great motivation. And for a game like this that you want to draw people in and have them play, have them spend microtransactions on equipment and skins, you've got to keep people hooked. And I will be fully honest, once I beat the story, I will probably pick it up again when 2.0 comes out just to see what's different. But I don't think there's anything that keeps me going, oh my God, I have to keep playing this to do these events or to keep doing this, because I can't progress anymore.
Yeah, I only pop into Anthem when I feel like just flying around and shooting stuff, just because I'm not in the mood to like play Fallen Order. Like I don't want to play a Jedi. Like I want to fly and shoot. I'll pop into Anthem every once in a while. But like, and it's not even like, it's not something that EA hasn't addressed, because the level cap that they had on Apex was 100, and I mean that's a battle royale shooter, but it's still EA. They know what's going on, and before they hit their 1 year anniversary, they announced they were going from level cap 100 to 500, and then giving back loot boxes on the new progression scale to everybody who was already level capped. Anybody new gets the new progression scale, and now you can earn loot boxes again in that game from level 100 all the way up to level 500. So, like, they know that it's the type of thing that every player wants. They know what's happening out there. EA's still involved with freaking Anthem. But, yeah, I'm still stuck on my Javelin at level 30. And I've been level 30 since, like, a month after the game came out.
I never understood why it was BioWare that was making a living online shooter when these are the guys that were known for RPGs that are generally single-player, very storyline-driven, and character interaction and stuff like that. Because yes, you get character interaction in Anthem, but it's not the same as what you've had in any of the other Mass Effect games or any of the other BioWare games where you say something and it changes your relationship with someone and it potentially changes the outcome of the story or whether they help you later on. Here it is, I can be an asshole to someone and 30 minutes later they forget when I come back and talk to them.
Anthem, you just follow a storyline. No matter what you actually say or do, it just follows a storyline. The story is good. I actually love the story for Anthem. Like, it's a great story that they tell, but it's a 10-minute story pulled apart over, 30 missions that, if you rush through it, you could finish Anthem in like 2 days. Mm-hmm. Like, if you actually rushed. Like, if you just hauled ass through the story, it'd probably be 2 days of gameplay and you'd be done. Yeah.
BSB
and that's just sad.
Yeah, sorry. In the chat room, BSB_Rondart mentions even GTA keeps with the progression on levels. Like the online portion of GTA, they keep allowing that. So they're going to make changes. We'll see how it goes. They did say there will be some events, store refreshes, and inclusion of past seasonal content and Cataclysm content, but the core focus is going to be on the new version. So they'll keep doing some stuff here and there. Looking back historically, this is not the first AAA game to see a complete overhaul post-launch. We saw it in Final Fantasy XIV by Square Enix. We saw it in A Realm Reborn in 2012. And we do know Fortnite didn't have Battle Royale until a few months after it first came out, and that's what it's famous for. There's also the comparison between Destiny and Destiny 2. Destiny's foundation hasn't changed drastically, but they have ridden waves of criticism and success to reach a point where they keep modifying and changing things. So it's possible they can recover, but these other companies, once they saw there was a problem, I think jumped too quicker trying to fix it and redesign things. Now, the quality of life changes they've made in Anthem, I think, go a huge way. Had I picked up the game at launch for $60-$70 and it'd been that clunky, that many connectivity issues and just load screen hell, I probably would have rage quit and never done it. So, like I mentioned, my expectations are lower. I picked the game up for $10 on Black Friday. So I'm looking at it from I'm getting my $10 of fun out of this. It's okay.
And for $10, it's a damn good Iron Man simulator.
It's okay. I hope they can clean it up, make it better. But man, it does not give me... It used to be if I saw a game was coming out from BioWare, I was like, oh, hell yeah, that means it's going to be good. Then Andromeda came out and I went... Ooh, what happened here? Then I played the beta for Anthem, and I went, oh, what the hell is going on here? And then there was Anthem coming out and people telling their experiences, and I went, something has gone wrong. And when you go and look at it, they've lost a lot of that BioWare talent. They're in fact, Drew Karpatian and a few of the other folks that were OG BioWare members have moved over to a new game studio run by Wizards of the Coast. You know, the guys that make Magic, The Gathering, and stuff like that, who are going to start making games. So who knows what's going to happen now.
Yeah, I think that new Magic game that's going to come out is going to have some really solid storyline because they've got a lot of the classic BioWare guys working with them now.
Could be. I'm curious to see what they do with it. I do know that with the current state of things, I really don't think I'm getting another Mass Effect game, which makes me sad because while Mass Effect Andromeda was flawed when they all came together, I was like, I want to see more of the story. I want a DLC that they set up in there to happen that never happened. They're writing a book about. So there's no more coming there, and that bums me out a little bit. And I do know that Dragon Age 3, I guess it is, should be coming soon. My wife is really excited about that, and I didn't have the heart to tell her that, BioWare kind of has been missing the mark lately. Hopefully it works, but yeah, I don't know what's going to happen. I have a bad feeling about it.
We'll see.
Yeah, and I agree with what BSB Rondart said in the chat. Hard to get ahead of the 8 ball now. They may have waited too long to address the issues.
Yeah, because if it's 2 years in before I get the game that they basically promised me in the trailer, it's a little fucking late at that point.
Well, it's also, for another comparison point, though, No Man's Sky. You remember that game?
Yes, and I picked it up after it was fixed, and I love that game.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
So maybe that's kind of what they're banking on, is that if they can fix it and get it to a point people are re-reviewing it to say, hey, this is the fixed version of Anthem, maybe they can draw people back in. I don't know. I will tell you this. I have not put an extra dime into the game other than just what I spent on it. I thought about buying some crystals or whatever to get loot, but I've been earning it through events. Now, not in great amounts, but enough that I was able to buy a legendary loot box and get some legendary gear. That was kind of cool. But once I saw what 5,000 crystals equated to in real world dollars, I went, no.
Yeah, I have, in all fairness, never spent another dollar on Anthem in-game, and I've spent more on Apex Legends than I spent buying Anthem. So if they make the game fun, I'll pay for the microtransactions, but I'm not giving you another fucking dime for Anthem until you fix your shit. Like, I played the other day working on the Ice Tide Wreath Challenge. I've got 50 of the 100 wreaths. I was going and collecting them. And it's literally to the point where one of the coolest things about the game is when you get into your Javelin, which you customize everything on it. You've got like 8 different sections that you can change the texture, the color, the paint. You can turn it into a metal. And at this point, I have like 13 different metals. I've got all these different textures to choose from. Like, your suits are fully customizable. You can make your javelins look gorgeous. And one of the best parts about the game is when you launch into a mission, is you actually see this sequence that's like a 30-second video of your pilot getting into the suit. And the fucking videos of that still don't work.
They do sometimes for me. Other times that'll load halfway through the video and then just boop, go to your loading screen. I'm like,
and then you go to the loading screen. Yeah, I don't want to see the fucking loading screen. I want to see my pilot get into his javelin. I want to actually see that.
I will say I did enjoy. I was playing online with some, because you can only play online, and someone sent me a message on Xbox Live that was like, hey, your Anthem armor looks really cool. And I was like, hey, thanks.
Nice.
I'd only spent like 10, 15 minutes trying to set it up right, but it was a whole red and green and black combo that I thought looked pretty damn cool.
Yeah, and you can make some very, it's the most customizable system I've come across for building like a suit. It's a really cool system. It's at the same time, it's very limited to what stuff you can do depending on which javelin you're using, because there's some stuff that works on, the Colossus that just does not look right on the Storm, and vice versa. And some of the decals just suck because they're this fucking big, and you got to do 10 challenges to earn them, and it's a fucking sticker that's the size of a 50-cent piece. And it's dumb as shit. But yeah, there's some really great stuff in that game. When it's great, it is great. When it's not, it is awful.
I do like the idea that BSB Rondart had in the chat room, was that maybe they put it on Game Pass or something like that, which is, for the Xbox side of the house, if you're subscribed to Game Pass, it's pretty much all you can eat, a list of games. And you can just download it and play it while your subscription's active. That would be an interesting way to bring people back in, but I don't know how that would work since EA has their own subscription service. I think it's on both consoles, like EA Access or something like that.
Yeah. And if they're smart, if the 2.0 comes out and it works and it's a solid update, the smart thing would be to put it on whatever the Xbox Game Pass is and put it on the PlayStation Network as a PS Plus free game for the month and see if people will try it again. Like if it's free, they'll give it a shot. That put a huge boost into Dead by Daylight. Like I started playing that game the month that Willie said, "Hey, this is free right now. If you go grab it," and I like playing it, and you like horror movies, give it a shot. A whole bunch of people jumped into Dead by Daylight when it was a free PlayStation Plus game. So if EA can suck it up a little bit and say, okay, yeah, no one's paying for the EA access for Anthem. Like that's not going to happen anymore. But maybe if we put it on the Xbox Game Store and we put it in PlayStation Plus and make it free for a month, maybe we'll get a shot in the arm, enough influx to where people will see that we've fixed this damn thing. Maybe that'll get the creator content back. Because one of the things that's awesome on Anthem, one of the great ideas they had was instead of having to do guilds or having to do group lists or friend lists or anything like that, any friend of mine on the PlayStation Network that has Anthem was automatically listed as part of my alliance inside Anthem. So as soon as my friend, when I bought her a copy of the game, as soon as she played, instantly our accounts were linked. We didn't have to go join a guild. We didn't have to do nothing. And whenever she played, at the end of the week, I got coins in accordance with how much time she had put in game. So you actually got in-game currency when your friends played the game, which is a really cool way to do like a guild type system without making people actually have to do anything. But with the status of the game as it is, I think in the email box in the game, you can keep 10 weeks worth of messages. The last 10 weeks worth of my messages, I have earned exactly 0 coins. Because of the 13 people on my friends list that own Anthem, none of them have played the game at all.
Mm-hmm. And I did go and check right now on EA Access's website. Anthem is included as part of the EA Access subscription, which I think is $8 or $10 a month. I can't remember. So if you subscribe to that on PC, PlayStation, or Xbox, you could play Anthem that way. One of the things I'd love to see them do if when this 2.0 is make crossover gameplay happen. So I don't know how you would work that appropriately, though, that I could friend someone on PS4 and have that work.
There's definitely no reason it shouldn't have crossplay when they're having so much trouble building a player base.
It's more of whether the companies will let them do it, I think.
Which is fucking dumb.
Yeah, we've
God damn it, Sony.
Before. Hey, speaking of Sony, that's what our next news story is about, because I can't stretch it out any longer. Willie Nelson didn't make it in here in time, so we'll get his comment next week. But hey, we do know PS5 coming soon. Same with the Xbox Series X, or whatever the hell they're calling it. We do have next-gen consoles coming soon, and a lot of people are going, what's the price going to be on these consoles? Because price point could be one of the major differentiating factors that determines whether some folks are going to upgrade or not.
Too damn high. The price is too damn high.
That's what I guess, too. So there is a report from Bloomberg that says Sony is struggling, quote, with costly parts, end quote, driven by high demand for memory components that could drive the PS5 price to around $500. The current manufacturing cost of the PS5, according to Bloomberg, is about $450. So if they charge $500, they make $50 on it, is what they're thinking right now.
They make $50 a unit?
Well, remember, consoles for a lot of folks are a loss leader. It's not unheard of to sell a console at a loss, and one could argue it seemed like the original Xbox One was sold at a loss at launch, and I believe even the Xbox original was sold at a loss at launch was one of the theories. I don't know if that's been confirmed or not.
And then they charge $80 for a controller that cost them $12 worth of plastic.
That's where you start to make up some of that. So they're saying competition for DRAM and NAND flash memory are what's driving up the cost, but they do also report Sony is using an especially expensive cooling system for the PS5 because the PS4 is, quote, too loud due to fan noise and heat dissipation. And I will say with my PS4 Pro, when I was playing Spider-Man and we got to a cinematic, those fans were roaring. They were just roaring. And I was like, yeah, this is not a very quiet system.
I don't think I've even heard my PS4 Pro yet, but I haven't tried any of I haven't played Spider-Man since I got it. I haven't played, I've got the new God of War, but I haven't played that yet. So maybe I need to actually give one of those heavy cinematic HD games a shot and see how it, because I mean, it already makes it did an update to Apex Legends, where Apex Legends on my screen, like it threw me for a loop for the first day or two because it became so much more highly rendered. I was like, oh shit, like this HD version of this game is crazy. And I don't even HD screen. Like it just updated the res in the game and it was a huge update. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what I can actually get if I actually play one of those other more cinematic games.
Yep, same concept as using the Xbox One X on a regular 1080p screen is that it can render things, then downscale them to 1080, and they look better than just rendering to 1080 to begin with, for lack of a better term. So Bloomberg says Sony's taking a wait-and-see approach, meaning they're going to see Microsoft's price that they set for the Xbox Series X before they then try and test and figure out the PS5 price.
And see if they can beat Xbox by $50.
That might be the goal. When they unveiled the first details in the PS5, it sounded more expensive than the $399 price point we have with the PS4 Pro. And they did say they were going to target, quote, an appealing price point based on the PS5 price. So what it comes down to, it sounds like if you start breaking down the hardware costs of the PlayStation 5, in order to break even, they have to charge $450. People have done similar things with the Xbox Series X and said, if you break down the hardware costs, Microsoft would have to charge $500 to $550 to break even. Now, Microsoft has sold at a loss before and not really cared right now. And I'm sure Sony has when it comes to console sales and stuff before. But honestly, we're not going to have any clue for sure until probably, I don't know, June. Microsoft's going to E3 2020. Sony is not. I assume they might want to announce a price point in June so that people can start be like, oh, gotta start saving my pennies up to get my Xbox Series X or whatnot. Myself, I'm not upgrading anytime soon because I don't need to.
Yeah, I just got my Pro, so I'm good for a while. I never want to buy a new console within the first year. Like, let them fix the bugs, let them fix the problems. I want the 6th version of it that comes over from Japan. Nothing earlier than that.
Why I was really hoping Willie would be on here is Willie's far more plugged into the Sony side of the house than I am. He's an avid PlayStation gamer, and he reads a lot of the tech news and stuff like that. And I didn't know what he might have heard differently from what he's been reading, or if him as a PlayStation gamer, what he thinks would be the ideal price point. Because I assume Willie's going to upgrade the way he's been talking about PS5 and stuff like that. He hasn't explicitly said it on the show.
Yeah.
I just assume that's his plan, is he wants to upgrade to the new console. So I was just curious to get his read on, well, what's this price point? What's the price point for you, Willie, that would have been appealing to make you be like, I am buying this console on day one? I don't think there's any price point for me that's appealing in that regard because I've got enough in my backlog right now and I still have my Switch that I don't need to upgrade to the next gen console anytime soon. It might look better, though.
There's too many games.
Yeah, too many games.
Well, and hell, PlayStation Network or PS Plus, the last 2 months, they've handed out collections. Last month was the Nathan Drake Uncharted collection. This month, they gave up BioShock. I just downloaded all 3 BioShock games. I've never played any of them.
Oh my God,
I have all
so
3
good.
now for free. Yeah.
Oh, man. BioShock 2, not as good. BioShock 1, mind-blowing. And BioShock Infinite, because it's just completely different setting-wise. Oh, you're going to love them. They're so good.
All 3 of those, I haven't even scratched the surface yet. I haven't started the new Norse God of War. I got the whole Nathan Drake collection. Like, yeah, there's so much games to play. So many games to play. It's ridiculous. And all this while I'm working through 2 battle passes between Dead by Daylight and Apex Legends.
Sounds like you've got plenty of time for gaming then, right?
Exactly. Who needs sleep?
I'll sleep when I'm dead, damn it. That's my plan. Well, sorry everyone watching live. Looks like we got no Willie Nelson. I called him and texted him.
I tried to.
Well,
the Willie is sleepy.
We'll hope he's alive, and we'll have an update for you next week. But before we shut this thing down, each week as we shut down the show, we have a little segment we do. It's a bit called What I'm Into. It's our chance to share with you guys who are watching live or listening at a later date just what kind of geeky and or nerdy things we've been getting into, so that maybe, just maybe, you'd want to check them out yourselves. I will kick things off because my list is relatively simple. Been pretty busy with work, but in between that, did play some Anthem. I am near the end game state in Anthem right now. And I watched just yesterday, I wish I'd kind of seen it on Thursday, Star Trek Picard Episode 4. I am still enjoying this show, but God, it is a slow burn at this point in time. It's very interesting from a character standpoint, things like that, but they have not really moved forward towards starting to resolve the big overarching plot of Picard needs to go save this person. It's still assemble a team, bring in character pieces, things like that. I'm having a ton of fun with it. And they brought in a character in the last 30 seconds of Star Trek Picard this week that I went, ooh, I can't wait to see what they do next week.
Is that when Jonathan Frakes shows up?
Jonathan Frakes directed this week's episode, but he did not appear. I guess, spoiler alert for anyone who is not caught up on Star Trek Picard. In the last 30 seconds of the show, there is Picard's ship gets attacked. There is another ship that comes to save them. Ship gets damaged, is about to blow up, and the pilot requests that they be allowed to be beamed aboard. And it is none other than Seven of Nine that is beamed aboard.
Nice.
Who gives the line of Picard, you owe me a ship, then passes out due to her injuries.
Very cool. Very cool.
So it's really cool. Jonathan Frakes did direct this episode, and I was reading an interview with Jerry Ryan where she said what made it was tough to come back to the character because she hasn't played Seven of Nine in 20 years. She goes, but there was a director that kind of understood where we were all coming from because Jonathan Frakes hasn't played his role in years as well, but he's intimately aware of Trek and all of these people. She goes, so he made it really comfortable to try and find the right point to be like, oh, okay, I'm Seven again. And he is appearing sometime this season. We already know that. And he had done interviews of his own where he's like, man, I've been directing so much in recent years. I haven't been in front of the camera. He goes, there was so much anxiety just going back in front of the camera again.
That's funny for a guy that did that show for so long.
Yeah, but if you think about it, I don't know what is the last show I've seen Jonathan Frakes in an acting capacity because he's been directing all sorts of stuff like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. He's done voice acting and stuff like that, but I don't know that he really appears in front of the camera that much anymore.
Yeah, it probably was one of like the last generation movies.
Mm-hmm. I know Marina Sirtis still appears on screen. She was on like NCIS and a few other things like that. So she's not just gone to voice acting, but it seems like Jonathan Frakes kind of pivoted his career towards being much more focused on directing.
He just wanted to grow that beard out and not have to shave.
He does have a pretty wonderful beard. We did see it in the Picard trailers. So Picard's been really good. I'm enjoying it. I just need them to start touching on the story again at some point in time. I'm really enjoying the back building or world building and stuff like that, but we need to move forward and start getting Picard from point A to point B. At least he's off Earth. He got off Earth this issue. Well, the very end of last episode, actually. He got off Earth. So everything is in a post-Earth world. Right? Yeah, I like it a lot. I will keep my CBS All Access until Picard is over. I will then suspend my account until Picard Season 2 comes out because I don't care about Discovery, I found still. I watched the first episode and went, I just want my Trek to continue the story, not try and tell me prequel stories at this point in time.
Yeah, they do seem to just love harping on that prequel thing.
Well, they sort of did. If you want a spoiler for Discovery here, they jumped like 3,000 years into the future at the end of last season.
Okay.
So that is all taking place after Picard and things like that. So that is actually rather intriguing to me because we don't have to try and play around the fact of, oh, this character you saw in the original series, we see him here, but we can't tell them something that they would then know in the original series because it wouldn't make sense canonically. That's the right way to put it. Canonically.
Yep.
I got the
canonically.
Word out.
Yep.
So I've really enjoyed that. God, what else have I been getting into? I did pick up on Tuesday, I guess it was. GameStop does their deal of the day occasionally. I picked up a game I've played in bars. It's called Killer Queens. It was down to like $8 on the Switch, so I picked up a copy there. You can have 4 people play locally when it's docked. It's a fun little bar game. We played it at the arcade bar here in town. I was like, for $8, this will be fun when people come over. We, instead of playing board games all the time, we're like, let's play some Killer Queens. It's delightful. But that's really about all I've been getting into. I've just been kind of busy with work, and if you heard the pre-show before I forgot to mute it, I am not taking the Monday holiday for President's Day. I'm shifting it to Friday, so I really won't have much time to do fun stuff until Friday. But I may go to the movies then. I wanted to see Sonic the Hedgehog. Haven't seen that yet. And I wanted to see Harley Quinn / Birds of Prey / whatever they've renamed themselves to this week because they changed the name of the movie after week 1. Wait, we didn't have a chance to talk about this last week. So, like, the actual title of the movie was like Birds of Prey, the Fantabulous Emancipation of One Harley Quinn or something like that in like parentheses. So they Warner Brothers reached out to the theaters and said, we're renaming it to make it simpler so that people realize Harley Quinn's involved. It is now Harley Quinn: Birds of Prey, is what they changed the title to in theaters.
That's funny because that's not the movie that I bought tickets for, and that's not what's listed on IMDb.
Yeah, I'm not sure how well that's working out, but a lot of theaters where you see it listed now, it now says Harley Quinn: Birds of Prey instead.
They're gonna try to live, die, repeat it.
That's honestly what it kind of sounds like, and by all accounts, it's to try and cure the fact that it underperformed in week 1, which I was disappointed to see. I didn't have a chance to go see it week 1. I was sick, and I didn't have a chance this weekend because I was working on some projects, but I still want to see the movie. I acknowledge I'm part of the problem as to why their money made sucks. I'll make it at some point in time. It's still my plan.
Yeah, it didn't do that bad.
There's projected $55 million. They made $35 million in week 1.
Yeah, it's also a lead. It's a movie being led by a sidekick of a villain who's not in the film. Like, Harley's a great character, but Harley's not box office gold yet. Like, the fact that it made 30 plus, I think it did fine.
They tried to look at it too much through the lens of other rated R superhero movies and what they did opening weekend. And Harley Quinn is not on the same level as Deadpool or Logan.
No.
And that is not me being a Marvel fanboy, being like, oh, they're so much better. It's the name recognition of Deadpool after Deadpool 1, especially, is much higher. And Logan, it's the freaking Wolverine. Let's be honest here.
Well, and it was the end cap story after 13 years of one actor playing the same character as well. Right. Yeah, Margot Robbie's awesome. She's not the marketing machine that Ryan Reynolds is.
Yes.
They did marketing with Deadpool that no movie has ever done. They did crazy shit with that movie.
I just wanted to make it clear I wasn't trying to cast a Marvel fanboy shot at Harley Quinn. And if you think I was, feel free to send your hate mail to js@gonnageek.com. All hate mail goes to John Sebastian. That's the plan. But that's what I've been getting into. Bachman, how about yourself? What have you been getting into?
Well, to continue the thread, what I've been getting into is I took my girl out to see Birds of Prey. And as a Doug Loves Movies fan, full title, Birds of Prey, semicolon, and the Fantabulous Emancipation of One Harley Quinn. Because that is the fucking title of the movie. Whatever Warner Brothers is trying to pull their bullshit, live, die, repeat, trying to come up late and change shit after marketing. Doesn't work. Edge of Tomorrow. The movie's called fucking Edge of Tomorrow. But yeah, Harley's fun. It's super fun. It's a really fun movie. It's the complaints I've heard are utterly ridiculous. Excuse me. There was complaints that fucking Harley and Elizabeth Winstead and the characters weren't wearing enough sexy outfits through the movie to appease the fanboys. Journey Smollett Bell, who plays Dinah Lance, the Black Canary, the new version of the songstress ass kicker, is in basically sexy outfits for the entire movie. She's a gorgeous actress and looks great through the whole thing. All the other ones are just not wearing booty shorts. Jesus Christ. It was a woman writer, a woman director, and women actresses, and they actually sat down with costume and said, what's going to be comfortable to wear for the next month while we're filming?
Yeah.
And even then, Margot Robbie's wearing crazy shit because she's Harley Quinn. her shredded confetti fucking sleeves on her one jacket is utterly insane. The outfits they're wearing are great and they fit to the characters. Rosie Perez is wearing a shirt through a good chunk of the movie that says, I shaved my balls for this. I don't know how people are not having fun seeing this movie because it's fucking hilarious.
Look, and the thing that a lot of people still continue to not realize is a lot of those iconic female costumes, they don't translate well to the big screen.
Yeah. Because
women are not designed to be able to wear those kind of clothes because you're drawing them on their bodies in comic books. Whereas in real life, it's same with a lot of men's superhero costumes. Those don't translate because they don't fit right.
Yeah.
So you make your adaptation and change. That's like saying, I'm mad because Captain Marvel didn't wear the Warbird swimsuit one piece. What? Who cares? It was still an awesome costume.
Yeah. And the idea that Mary Elizabeth Winstead was going to wear the Huntress bra and booty shorts under a trench coat, that was even a dumb design when it was in a comic book.
Yes.
Nobody would fucking wear that into a fight. Her version of the Huntress is awesome. She goes and just murders people, and she's great at it. And they have a bunch of motorcycle stunts with her. Super fun. And honestly, Margot Robbie is great from start to finish through the whole film. Ewan McGregor is great start to finish through the whole film. The version of Mr. Zaz that they have in this film is very fucking weird. Also very entertaining. Like, the whole movie's fun. Like, it's a super fun flick. Like, it stands up there with, like, it's not quite as good as Aquaman or Wonder Woman, but it's right there next to them. Like, this is still better than that crap Justice League movie. This is still better than frickin' Batman versus Superman. This was a good film. There's a good, solid plot. Like, there's an actual storyline going on, and actual character progression. Oh my God, actual character progression for characters in a DC film. Like, it's solid. Like, Birds of Prey is a good, solid, fun movie. It's not what fucking a certain sad fucking vocal group of fanboys want. But fuck them. We don't need to be making movies for those people. They're going to go see these anyways. They're going to go see these movies anyways just to complain about them. So yeah, the fact that like these basically an almost all female cast got together with a female director, a female writer, and made a badass movie with badass female characters, I fucking loved it. Like, it was fun. That's all a Harley Quinn movie needs to be, is fun. This isn't going to be going in for the Oscars for Best Fucking Actor awards. They know they're not going in for that shit. This is supposed to be a fun movie that builds the universe. This movie's fun, and the best part is there's no fucking Joker in it. If anything, I think that was my favorite part. Even the slight references to him are cut down a lot. This is literally about Harley getting away from the world's most abusive relationship. Joker and Harley Quinn are not relationship goals, you fucking psychos.
Yeah, I don't understand that people are like, relationship goals when they talk about it. I'm like, no, he drove her insane.
Yeah, he literally drove a PhD psychologist insane and ruined her life. And now she's getting a little bit of that life back. But yeah, if you just want a fun movie, go see Birds of Prey. It's great. Like, I enjoyed it. It was really fun. That's it. But yeah, other than that, I actually watched all of, cracked out 2 nights on Friday and Saturday, watched all of Lock and Key, the first season on Netflix. It is a damn fantastic version of the comic book. Like, Joe Hill, like, you know, they come out swinging. Like, it's a super violent origin story that in the comics was, I remember, like, being, like, jarringly violent. And they do a good job in this where they tell most of that in flashback sequence, and they kind of break it up to kind of ease the audience in a little bit more, so it's not as jarring as the comics were. Really well done. The acting's great on it. The special effects for, like, all the keys and the things that they can do with them, basically the magic that's involved in the house and the storytelling, all of it is top notch. Like, nothing looks out of place. They jump really fast into once like one key is found, and they start world building to tell you all the magical abilities of all the keys in this world. Like, it goes really quick, but like they carry the audience along with it fast enough to where none of it seems out of place. It all seems to fit. Like, it builds on itself really well. Yeah, went through the whole season, and it's fantastic storytelling. If you haven't seen Lock and Key, it's a super great show. Pretty violent. It's got some, you know, violence, some blood, some crazy stuff in it. Definitely not for kids. Like, it's a very adult show, even though it stars like Bodhi's, like one of the main characters, the kid who's like 8 or 9 years old. But yeah, it's a very adult based comic book. Like, it's not meant for kids. Joe Hill is Stephen King's kid. Like, this, you know, this is someone that grew up in the house of the horror master. He knows how to write scary shit. Like, there's some creepy, scary shit in it. Good violent, but yeah, it is fantastically well built show. Like, I'm hoping to see them do the entire story of Lock and Key. Like, I want to see, you know, all of it translated to screen, because what they did was really good. And like, it was sad hearing like this pilot kept getting remade. Different studios kept picking it up and then dropping it. And like, eventually, finally, Netflix, you know, gave it a home, and they redid the pilot again with all these new actors. And like, apparently, it was a long time in the making, but man, it was worth it. What they ended up giving us for Lock and Key is fantastic. So if you haven't checked that out yet, go look at that. And then been working on my Goodreads reading challenge. I talked to you guys about Scythe, and then the second book in the Scythe series, which is the Thunderhead. I finished the Thunderhead, and I'm now on to the third and final book, which is called The Toll. And I'm about like 150 pages into this. Apparently, I think Paramount or Universal, one of them, is in talks with Neil Shusterman to make the first one into a movie. It's fully like a YA dystopian future world. It's like the next Hunger Games, the next Harry Potter. Like, the fact that we're not already seeing a trailer for this movie, I find a little shocking, because it's a great concept. It's a really cool, unique version of a perfect dystopian future, if that makes any type of sense. And like it's really weird because it's a world where humanity has conquered death. You basically can't die from anything natural anymore. Everybody has nanites in them. There's an AI system that runs the world. Nobody needs to. You don't have to work if you don't want to. Everybody has money. Everybody has food. Everybody has perfect health and mental well-being. Like all of that's done with, and everybody lives forever. You can reset your body age at any time you want by going to a center and dialing back however many years you want. So people are living to be hundreds and hundreds of years old, but they're walking around looking 35. And so there are scythes that go around and murder people. And when a scythe kills you, you actually die and don't ever come back. And they're doing it basically for population control. Because at this point, if nobody dies, but people keep having kids, the world is finite. There's still finite resources, even with a perfect AI system running everything. And so this strange world where these two teenagers are brought in to be apprentices for a scythe, and then craziness ensues. 3 books worth of crazy storyline. Really cool concepts. Really great ideas about like the morality and like the life choices people would make and the things that would change in the world if we weren't worried about dying. If humans had unlimited time and potential, like what would you do with your life? And so seeing the writer tackle some of these concepts, like it's really cool. It's really well written. It's really fun. And I'm excited to see what they do with the movie because like it should totally be a nice trilogy of films. And if they do even like 80% justice to the books, like I think there'll be a solid storyline. It'll be a good trilogy. It'll be another Hunger Games where people really enjoy it. I mean, it may not be a worldwide blockbuster, but it'll be good. Like it'll be really good. But that's what I've been getting into.
Very cool. I need to do better about my reading that I wanted to do. Like I picked up the first series in the Witcher books, and I was like, I need to start reading this, and I just haven't gotten to it yet.
I'm telling you, man, the Goodreads challenge. You go log on to Goodreads, you add the books that you want to list, and the awesome thing about the challenge is that you set the number of books that you want to read for the year. So like literally I tried to do 60 last year. That ended up being a little too much. The year before I'd done 50 and like just barely hit it. And so I reset my goal to 50 this year. I have one friend that restarted it and they set their goal at like 4. I have another friend that started it this year and set their goal at 12. If you can read a book a week, if you can read a book a month, whatever. And it's a nice way to keep track of them. And then you see stuff popping up of what your friends are reading. And it like gives you ideas of other stuff you might want to read. And it reminds you, hey, I should be reading my book.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's Goodreads, so it's baked into the Kindle stuff because I read most of my stuff on my Kindle.
There you go. If you do that, it tracks all of that. So it's nice.
I need to be better about that. Oh, well. That being said, looking at the time, we did pretty good here. We did pretty good. We stretched this out. We had full content. We talked about all sorts of cool, interesting things. That being said, it is time for us to start shutting this thing down. A friendly reminder, we do stream this show live every Sunday, 11 a.m. Eastern at 10 a.m. Central, over at www.geeks.live. Yes, that is a domain, and yes, that is the live streaming page for all of these shows on the Gonna Geek Network. If you head on over there, you can scroll down to the bottom of the page. You can see a calendar of all of the upcoming live events, so please feel free to come check out some other live content over on geeks.live. I will say the next live show, I do believe, is tomorrow evening at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. It is the official GonnaGeek.com show. I still have to figure out what I'm talking about on there tomorrow, I just realized. I'll be productive later. That being said, we are going to shut this thing down. Please come visit us next week. But before we shut it down, any final thoughts for our audience here?
Hey, BioWare, EA, fix Anthem. Get your shit together. Get all your shit together. Put it in a backpack. Fix your shit.
Right. I'm looking forward to when they do get it fixed. That being said, we're not there yet. Just keep your fingers crossed. It should be there at some point in time. Fingers crossed.
Hopefully.
We will see you all next week for more ATGN shenanigans. Bye, guys. Thanks for listening to this brand new episode of the All Things Good and Nerdy podcast. Don't forget, we'll be back next Sunday live at 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Central over at live.atgnpodcast.com, channel 3 of the Alpha Geek Radio app, and over at our network home at GonnaGeek.com/live. If you have any feedback for the show, please contact us atgnpodcast@GonnaGeek.com, on our hotline number at 304-806-ATGN, or even better, go to Twitter and send us a message at ATGN Podcast. The music you've heard in this show is produced by Kevin MacLeod and can be found at incompetech.com.